You know this song that's playing right now?
It sounds like Shawn Mendes.
It's royalty free.
Oh, really?
So it's part of a royalty free list. And it's on Twitch. It's on Spotify. And it's called a royalty free playlist. And I think that if you're an artist and you want your music to be listened to, and
you put it there.
You're unknown.
Yeah.
What a great spot to put it.
Yeah, 100%.
That sounds like a Weekend. I thought it was a Weekend song.
It's
I don't know.
Gianni Boo. That's
Gianni
the art.
Boo?
Gianni Boo.
Yannick.
And I don't know any of
The
these
name
artists.
of a rock star.
Yep.
I don't know any of these artists, but guess what? They're getting played on this very popular show.
This very popular show.
With 5 subscribers.
It's growing.
The subscription.
Let's try to double it to 12 by the end of the year.
We'll talk about that
Yeah.
on number 10 to be precise.
You have ideas. You have ideas.
I have
for
ideas.
number 10. All right, let's do it.
We might get into a shouting match, so we'll keep that for the end.
All right.
I'll get my coffee.
Fucking hell. Bon.
Maybe we should switch the book club to a Scotch Club.
Oh, fuck.
A Scotch-versary.
It's going to get
Scotch-versary.
fiery.
Scotch anniversary.
Are you still running with that idea?
Scotch-versary?
Is it happening?
Yes, it is happening, but Mike, I want to do it with my cousin, but I want to see how serious he is. If he's not serious, I'm going to look for other people that want to do it, man.
I'm down.
Because I want... So the idea behind Scotch-versary is you drink Scotch, and you get two people that have complete opposite approaches on life, complete opposite ideas, complete opposite opinions, and you get them to go against each other, and you have to keep instigating a conversation to get them to disagree with each other.
Should have them wear boxing gloves.
Basically, right?
So you would be the host?
Well, it would have to be two people hosting it. Like, it would be like a 4 to 5 people on the podcast, and you really have to keep the conversation going as the host.
Yeah.
And you have to, you have to keep everybody drinking. You have to keep everybody live. You have to keep everybody active.
This is a weekly thing?
Weekly or a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah.
But it needs to be like in a nice setting. Maybe smoking cigars or something like that.
So here's my idea for... okay, we'll wait.
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Alrighty.
So today we have 2 chapters. So rule number 9 and rule number 10 from Jordan B. Peterson's book, The 12 Rules for Life.
Yep.
Chapter number 9 is assume the person you are talking or listening... the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Number 10 is be precise in your speech. So let's talk about chapter number 9.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I just wanted to touch on the first paragraph of this one, where he says that giving advice is a way to show you are superior and as a way of putting down other people.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's kind of true, I think. But it's not your intention.
No.
But it does come out that way, especially if the person asking for advice is in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
You are giving them this advice as if you have your shit together.
Yeah, it's like, get away from me.
Yeah, and let's be real. It's like nobody has their shit together.
No.
And I think, throughout this chapter, he really talks about you can just sit there and listen. And if you listen long enough, they are probably going to come up with the solution on their own solution. So your internal bias and your internal problems are not interfering with their internal bias.
True.
And that's what I got most out of this chapter is that, like, even in our business, when you're talking to your clients, you have your own issues that you have to basically put aside and try to understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish.
Of course.
And then you can help them that way.
So it's 95% or 98% diagnose and 2% prescription.
Basically.
Right?
Giving advice, you mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't it also mean that you've been through it? Whatever it is that you're giving advice on, isn't it based on experience?
It's based on your experience.
Yeah, so if I went through something before you did, or you're going through the same problem I went through last year, I'm giving you advice on how to get through it. It's not a show of dicks. you know?
Yeah.
I'm helping out.
It's not a
so
pissing contest. Yeah.
No, exactly. So it depends in what context.
It does, but it could. The way he says it here, advice is what you get when the person you are talking to wants to revel in the superiority of his or her own intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody asks you for advice, it's basically now it's your chance to showcase your intelligence.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the person it depends on the person that's receiving the advice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has
And
context.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of experience with this in my coaching career, where I meet with a client, real estate agents that want to do better in their career, and then I start like giving them like, go do this, go do that, go, and then that wasn't working really good until my coach explained to me this exact concept, that coaching is basically just asking great questions and only giving advice once you've received permission to give advice.
Okay.
Because if you start giving somebody advice right from minute number one, it's not going to go in.
And they usually say, oh yeah, I did that already. Oh, I knew that already.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And you might want to make $500,000, but the person would be fucking happy making 75, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very simple thing to establish, but you got to go deeper than that. You know, how much do you want to make this year? What do you want your family life to look like? Are you single? Like, do you not care? You want to work 80 hours a week? You can do that. But, you know, if you've got wife and kids, it might be more difficult, right? So you got to ask more questions.
Yep. You do have to ask more questions. That's a really good point. I remember when I was coaching football, and I would teach these kids how to do things, and they're looking for my guidance. They're looking for my opinion. And I catch myself saying sometimes, I know what I'm talking about. You don't. Do what I tell you to do. Instead of saying something like, you need to do what's actually working for you. Focus on what's working for you. If you can run this route this particular way, then focus on perfecting that route, and then use that route to help you run other routes. Instead of telling them, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. Like, it's so hard to tell somebody to do something, like you said. Instead, get them to find those answers. Get them to answer the questions that you're asking.
Yeah.
That's key, man.
Help them discover the way.
That's listening.
And have you heard this complaint before of psychiatrists? All he does is fucking sit there and ask me questions.
Yeah, the Sigmund Freud way.
Yeah.
Well, no, Sigmund Freud doesn't even ask questions. He just sits there, makes you lie on a couch, stare at the ceiling, and talk.
Because he's worried that the way he'll ask the question will implement his own bias in your head.
Exactly.
Therefore, he's no longer getting the true you.
Man, that is such deep thinking.
So is that why when you see a psychiatrist, you lay down on this little couch? Like, is that the reason why you do that?
Well, it's Freudian method, like Rami said.
Yeah, it's the Freudian. When I'm with my son in bed, sometimes I lay with him. And if he is laying next to me, looking up at the ceiling, while I'm laying next to him, looking up at the ceiling, he is more inclined to tell me about his day and tell me about his problems than if we were sitting face to face like this. Right? Because he now feels that I'm not seeing his eyes, right? Like, you're not seeing his eyes. He's not seeing my reaction. He's not seeing my reaction. I'm not seeing his reaction.
Yeah.
His facial expressions, my facial expressions. So he is more willing to just talk. It's the same thing when you're texting somebody or when you're on the phone. You're almost more willing to give more information.
When you're texting.
When you're texting or when you're talking on the phone, probably.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking on the phone, you're talking to another human being, but they're not physically in front of you, so you're more likely to give them more information.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the facial expressions, it's almost more powerful than the words coming out of your mouth.
But Jordan also says that he prefers looking at his client so that the client can see how he reacts, so that when they go out in the world, they know what to say, what not to say, right?
Yeah.
Or to realize, if what they're saying makes sense at all.
Must be so intimidating talking to this guy.
Yeah, for sure. Like any doctor, really, when you're telling them your problems and you see, like, his facial expression is like, what the fuck did you just say? Well, maybe you're saying something you shouldn't be saying.
Yeah.
You know, so he says that for him, that works better than to stare at the wall or the ceiling,
Yeah.
right?
Have you ever listened? Well, I'm sure you guys have listened to an interview with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice how long his pauses are before his answers?
Yeah.
Like,
He thinks, man.
he's really thinking about what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Chapter number 10. You know?
Yeah, and even he talks about it in chapter number 9 how like real thinking is actually a debate between almost two different opinions in your head, and then a third opinion, and then a fourth opinion. Like you're not agreeing with each other. You're actually sitting there and you're thinking about these different whatever topic you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Right? Because apparently most of the thinking that we do, and I can definitely understand that. Most of the thinking that we do is self-criticism,
Okay.
right? Like you go outside, you look at, I don't know, whatever, you look at your car, I can get a nicer car. Well, I need a nicer car. This car's not nice enough, right?
Yeah.
Like you're constantly criticizing the things that you have. You're constantly criticizing yourself. Instead of, that's the type of like alone thinking that you're doing, instead of really thinking about a topic and saying, well, this is how my life is right now, and then talking yourself over whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing and all that stuff. That's the real thinking, and it takes a really hard time to master that.
Of course.
You remember that part of the...
Yes.
Like that's, I found that a really cool part.
He also said that's one of the reasons why some people get drunk all the time is because, you know, they don't want to think about tomorrow. They don't want to project themselves into the future and compare themselves to their future self.
Yeah.
So they want to lower their inhibitions, but the problem is that there is a tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? And we're the only animal that we know about that can sort of look at a situation, project ourselves into the future, and debate with that person.
Yeah.
Right? So we're always debating with our future self. And that's pretty...
It's mind-blowing.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
And then he was also talking about like almost fabricated truths. Like you can... Like a bad therapist would create this theory in his head and almost convince you that it's true.
Like
right?
this lady that said she was raped 5 times?
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, could she have been raped? Possibly.
Well, he's not assuming anything at the start, right? He wants to know more.
Yeah. And that's why I think the Freudian way of doing it might be the best way of doing it.
Was he looking at her during this conversation?
I don't know. Was he?
I don't know. I don't think he specifies.
I think that's when he talks about, for him, it's important to look at his client so that they can see his facial expression. I think that's when he talks about that.
How much do you think an hour with Dr. Peterson would be now?
I don't know.
I don't even know how much it is.
I don't even think... Is he still practicing?
I don't know.
Well, he talks about his clients.
I feel like visiting a
present time.
psychiatrist. Is it?
Doesn't he talk about his clients like in present time in the book sometimes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a practicing...
He probably still has clients that he's been working with for a long time, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if he's taking on any new clients. He probably doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem like the type to be... Like, I think he's more concerned about getting his message across and getting his... Like, to be honest, this book has helped me a lot.
Me too.
In terms of how I live my life. And I love books like this. Like, I've read this book in the past. I'm reading it again now. And it's just the way he articulates his points. Sometimes he does drag them on, but the way he gives examples is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's too Christian?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes a bit too much. I give him a pass on that. I do think that it's too much related to the Bible, but that's what he knows, right? So
there's a lot of cool metaphors in the Bible, though.
Yeah, I did find some of the stories cool, but sometimes it did drag on with too much Christianity.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he was a Muslim, he would have used stories from the Quran, I'm sure.
Exactly, yeah.
So it all boils down to the same. Anything else to... Oh, this idea of supersaturated solutions.
In the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool, man. It's just crying out for order.
Yeah.
And as soon as something hits it, bam, everything crystallizes.
Mm.
And he compares lost people, which to him, I think he thinks most people
are lost.
Are very conscious.
Yeah.
They're just crying out for something, some order to hang on to and to use as a model, which I think this book
Can't be used as a model.
is the crystal of sugar that you're dropping in the supersaturated solution.
Mm.
There's a reason why he's so popular, is because he's given people a model to follow.
Mm.
And his maps of meaning was similar, and also his future authoring program is also very similar.
Did you guys read Maps of Meaning?
No, I did not, but I am a member of future authoring program, where you write a future autobiography of yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Might do that.
You do. I do have 3 passes. If you guys want the 2 other ones,
Yeah.
so I bought 1 and it comes with 2 free. And I did that in the past. Like I was in a bad spot. You know, I'd been single for a while, and it was time for me to, you know, find someone. And I sat down at Chapters on Ogilvy, and I described my life in like 6 months.
Okay.
And I described this lady, you know.
She came through.
She came through. She's still there. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
It's pretty wild.
It is wild.
But how often do we do that? We always.
That's a good form of thinking, though.
Yeah,
right?
man.
That's a nice form
It's
of
pretty
reflecting.
powerful.
Like, life is messy, man. I always say that. Life is
Yeah.
messy. And sometimes, you know, you have to continuously clean things up. But there's a difference between cleaning it up for the short term and cleaning it up for the long term.
Yeah.
You know? Like there are so many things that you hear throughout the day. And some of it will resonate with you, some of it won't. Some of it will upset you, some of it won't. But then it's almost like you just keep going and you don't even address them. You just keep going, but they're still there, you know? And I think that's why our mind is so clouded sometimes, because it's still there, but you keep moving forward, you keep moving forward, you keep moving forward. And it's just like, eventually, man, it's just like, fuck. Like, I just want to fix everything, right?
Yeah.
Like he talked about that movie that everything is going wrong, and then finally everything is solved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was also something interesting that we could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The movie that's happy-go-lucky the entire time, and then at the end it's like, meh, nothing crazy.
Nobody likes those types of movies.
Yeah.
Another type of movie is something where everything's going wrong and there's fucking disasters everywhere, and in the end, boom, something amazing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good
Which
metaphor.
is most movies is like that. It's
Yeah, like Pursuit of Happiness. That's a nice movie.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's Pursuit of, what's that movie? Like The Wolf of Wall Street. That's a fucking great movie.
Great.
But the ending is not the happiest ending,
But-
because you almost start cheering for this guy that's frauding everybody. But then he's sort of, you know, now I don't know what he's doing now. He's doing something else now.
Belford or Belmont?
Jolene Belfort.
Belford?
Belfort.
Well, would you rather be the Belford of the beginning or the end?
I don't remember that movie, to be honest.
Well, he starts selling like penny stocks, and
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
makes a gazillion
yeah,
dollars.
he makes a bunch of money off of that.
Yeah.
He was just. I think what I got from that story is just his. It's just how smart he is and how much of a good salesman he is. You put 2 S's, eh? It's Peterson with 1 S.
Ah, shit. Thank you.
No, he's Swiss. Or no, c'est quoi, comme Carlson?
Swedish?
Swedish?
Huh.
Jordan Peterson.
Anything else on rule number 9? Were you saying something, Marty, about rule number 9?
I think we've covered it all.
I'm excited for rule 10. I think Marty's really excited for that one too.
Yeah, man.
He has a lot of things to say about this one.
To be precise in your speech
Okay.
is one interesting thing.
Be very precise with your next words,
Yes.
Marty.
So this idea of the couple that's together for 15 years, and the wife thinks that everything is going good, and she walks into a coffee shop and she sees her man sitting with this lady, right? And turns out that he's been having an affair.
Yeah.
But for 15 years, the man never brought up anything at all. He just acted like he was happy, right? When in reality, he was feeling unfulfilled sexually. And those are tough conversations, man.
With your wife?
Well, I mean,
whoever. Yeah.
whether it's about sexuality, it's about money,
Things happen.
it's
man.
about, work arrangements. You got to be honest with people.
Right.
And to have a hard conversation, it's not fun, but it does allow you to have a better future. And he compared married couples to 2 cats in a barrel.
Yeah.
And they're there till one of them dies or they both die. So isn't it really important for those two cats to be honest with each other?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know, it really resonated with me, this chapter. And it's important to have real conversations. And just like you said, stuff fucking drags on us, bugs us, and it's always in the back of our mind, and it does cloud our thoughts. So why not just be, I'm not saying to blow up on people and be like, fucking shit, I don't like this, but like just have an honest conversation.
They're tough conversations.
Tough conversations.
You know, sometimes, like you are, like have you guys watched, what's that show called? How to Get Away with Murder?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so in that show, I'm not going to name names, but in that show, one character crashes into a woman. The woman loses the baby.
I didn't see that. I was thinking of Making a Murderer. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, whatever. So he wants to tell her that he was the reason why her baby passed away, right? Her husband said, which is a psychologist, he says to him, the only reason why you want to tell her is because you want to feel less guilty about yourself. So it would be selfish for you to tell her. Okay? So by telling her, you're relieving the stress off of your back. Now you're clean. Now you've told her. But it's going to hurt her even more. Because she is perfectly comfortable, not comfortable, but perfectly okay. Not okay, but you know, she's still mourning. But now she thinks that just a random person, it was a freak accident. It was not a hit on her or her baby. Right? Because once she finds out it's a hit on her or her baby, the feelings are going to be completely overboard.
Is this a movie or a show?
It's a show.
Getting Away with Murder.
Yeah. So my point
I've
is,
never seen it.
my point is, this guy that's trying to tell her that this was a hit on her baby, the only reason why he's trying to tell her is because he wants to reduce the guilt, right?
So he was a hitman?
He was a hitman that also worked for her.
Okay.
It's
And
a really messed up.
Who hired him?
Well, like, you have to watch the show. I'm not going to kill the show for you.
It's on
guys, but
Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Was it an
Check it.
abortion?
No.
It wasn't like the baby daddy wanting to get rid of the baby?
No.
Hmm.
It's a messed up story. It's
They were
a good
trying to
story.
hit her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's a messed up story. It's worth a watch. It's one of the best shows I've ever watched, to be honest. It's honestly brilliant. The acting is absolutely brilliant, and you really feel them. But that specific scene resonated with me because it is a tough conversation to have with somebody. But that tough conversation that you're having with them is going to absolutely kill them, you know? And then at this point, they're happy with the status quo. Like they're now getting comfortable with the status quo. Why are you reopening the subject to tell them this really terrible news?
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
That's rough.
It is rough.
Yeah.
But this is like, you have to be precise in your speech. Yes, I get it. But sometimes, is it even worth it? Or is it worth to just keep the burden inside of you and live on with it, not to share the burden with somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
That ties into rule number 3 or 4.
Yeah.
To tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
If he omits it, he's not lying, but he doesn't need to go out and express it.
All these rules, you have to put them together. You can't just take one rule and live by that
Exactly.
one rule. You
Yeah.
have to put all 12 of them together. You know?
It's hard. Like you impossible to live by these 12
Yeah.
rules.
Mhm.
If you're
It's
going to
really
be
hard.
precise in your speech, and you also have to take your time to think about what you're going to say.
Yeah.
You were talking about Jordan, how he
Because
takes long
people don't-
pauses before he speaks.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that sometimes too, you know?
Have you guys seen the interview with Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman?
You know? Who's that? Who's Kathy Newman?
She's a British host, and Jordan doesn't agree that we are obligated to call somebody by their preferred gender pronoun.
Right.
He will, but he doesn't believe it should be law.
Mhm.
And she said, who are you to be having these thoughts and be offending all these people that did nothing wrong to you? And he said, in order to think, it is to risk offending somebody. Because if you go along with the status quo all the time, yeah, you won't offend anybody.
Yeah.
But in order to think is to risk offending somebody.
Okay.
In order to think, or in order to talk about what
Talk
you're
about what you're
thinking?
really thinking. And let me pull up the quote here, just so I'm not butchering it. You guys can chit chat if you want.
Yeah, so it's such a you're walking a very thin line, you know. I think it's almost sometimes even when you're dealing with your clients and something very bad is happening to the transaction. Like, I try to find the solution before I give them a call. If I keep them updated on what's going on with their file, they'll have a heart attack and die.
I fucked up once.
You can't. You need to. You cannot. You just act on it right away. Fix it right away, because there's nothing the client can do at this point. Anyways, they're happy. They're gonna get their keys in a couple of days. Mm-hmm. You'll fix it. Just don't tell them what's going on, and they should never know what happened.
Do you remember when I sold your mom's house the first time?
The first time? In Rockland?
Yeah.
What about it?
So the buyer was having troubles with the financing, and it was one of my first deals.
Yep.
And I ran to my seller. I said, listen, the buyer is having trouble getting the money, but we still had a few conditions left. And it just caused so much anxiety, man.
Yeah.
Like, my client was just like, oh, wow, this is not going to go through. And
were you representing the buyer as well?
It was multiple representation. And like Rami said.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was thinking about the house in Maneuver. Yeah.
The one in Rockland.
Yeah.
And I just came forward with that information right away without like really understanding the situation. I went there 3 days before conditions were due, and I got my client all fucking stressed out. 3 days later, the deal was firm.
Of course.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
But you have to be certain of what you're going to say before you go out and say it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. Is exactly what you were saying also. Yeah. But that makes total sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when they call you asking you for an update, I'm on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working it through.
Yeah.
Is everything done? Almost. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that confidence that no matter what, you're gonna have to find a solution. Like, you have to have backup plans. You have to be prepared. So, but it's really like your tone, the way you say it, all of that stuff. And he talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, all of that stuff is really important when you are giving them bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
That's the quote.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck did you say?
In order to be able to think,
you have to offend somebody.
Well, yeah, that's not right.
Well, it's technically the same, I guess. Whatever.
But not the same.
Yeah.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. Much better put.
Much more precise.
So let's have a conversation about this podcast and where it's going.
Yep.
Can I just bring up the last part of this chapter, because it's exactly what you're saying, or it's directly related to Jordan's quote. Hey, buddy. Confront the chaos of being. Take aim against a sea of troubles. Specify your destination and chart your course. Admit to what you want. Tell those around you who you are. Narrow and gaze attentively and move forthrightly. So it's exactly that.
Yeah, man.
Risk offensing.
You risking being offensive.
You know what this reminds me of? Like, if somebody has a problem with, I don't know, someone that is gay, okay, and they don't want to cut this person's haircut because he's gay. The gay person is going to be offended by it. The barber is whatever. He's an asshole, a racist, whatever it is that he is. But he doesn't want to cut this guy's hair. In my opinion, if I was gay, I would just not go there anymore.
That is a very good question.
Something like that happened not too long ago, where a gay couple wanted to get a cake done, and the guy said, I'm not going to make your cake for same-sex marriage. And I'd
be...
Like, he's entitled to their own opinion. They're not being harmful.
Okay, but let's say you don't want to serve me food because I'm a different color.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
I just wouldn't go there anymore, personally.
I understand.
I've been a victim of racism all the time.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, man. Like, for me, but I guess it's the way you're thinking too. It's wrong. Recently, I a football player that I coached. He has dreads.
Okay.
He received a letter from a Penn State college alumni because he plays for Penn State.
Okay.
And the letter says, back in the day, our players had clean-cut haircuts. So basically telling him to cut off his dreads.
Ouch.
Okay?
Okay.
Listen, man. That's racist.
Is it?
Well, come on. Like, that's wrong. Because, okay, you're directly offending his appearance. You're not refusing to do business with him.
What if
You're directly offending his appearance. If you are running your own shop and you are refusing to do business with this person because this person has a beard, should just think, you know what, this guy's just an asshole. I don't want to deal with him anyway because I don't want to associate myself with these types of people.
But those are two different situations. One, you're wearing a uniform and you need to conform to the team's identity. And listen, here, we don't wear long hair. We don't have beards.
This is an alumni.
Okay.
This is a fan.
But the other one is a business.
Right.
And the business, I would say, have at it. You don't want to serve gay people? Fine.
A fan sent him that letter?
A fan.
But your shop's going to hurt because of it. Where I struggle, and I look at that gay situation, I'm like, you don't want to serve gay people? You're an asshole.
100%.
I
agree
won't.
with that.
I'm straight, but I still won't shop at your boutique.
And you have the right to do that.
But if you don't serve Mexican people, I think the law should step in. And I don't know why it's different, but it's different.
I don't know, man.
So you think it should be
Same
carte
shit.
blanche? You do whatever you want.
To be honest, but I also think that all drugs should be legal and people should just do whatever the fuck they want to do, right?
Except for heroin.
Whatever.
I know, it's tough.
They do whatever you want to do. If you are going to self-sabotage your life.
Yeah.
As soon as you start sabotaging other people's lives around you, then that's when the law should step in.
Yeah.
But if you are a Mexican and I refuse to do business with you, that's my problem. I am missing the business. I am losing business. There's a million other barbers you can go to. There's a million other ice cream shops you can go to.
Okay. What if you are... What's a big monopoly? What's a huge monopoly? You're Hydro One. I'm the
Hydro
only...
One is owned by the government, Marty.
Okay. Okay, so take another industry. What's a big monopoly?
I don't know.
Facebook. I don't want Hindi people on Facebook.
So here's the thing about Facebook. Facebook is too big now.
Okay, should the government step in and say, I Mr. Zuckerberg, this is bad?
No, and I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because if Facebook has over 1 billion subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want one particular cult or culture, okay, on their Facebook page, to join their Facebook page, they are going to suffer because whoever they are going to make a fit about it, and people will stop using Facebook. So they are too big.
Do you think...
I'm talking about the small barber shops. I'm talking about the small ice cream shops that if I refuse to go there, if they refuse to accept me because I'm an Arab, okay, screw you, man. I'm going to go to another ice cream shop. That's what I'm saying.
But it's the only ice cream shop in the town. And your son really wants ice cream.
You guys need scotch.
I don't know, man. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe if this is the only...
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean...
Maybe it could be the only ice cream shop in town. If it's the only ice cream shop in town and they refuse to serve... Like, I went to a village in Lebanon. You have to be a Christian Maronite just to buy a property there. Okay?
That's fucked up.
Just to buy a property there.
Yeah.
If you go into the store to buy fucking nuts, they'll ask you straight up, where are you from?
I'm from Canada, sir.
I'm from Canada. Oh, are you born here?
No.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm born in Canada. Who's your mother? Who's your father? What's your last name? What religion are you? Oh, I'm Christian. What kind of Christian? I actually don't know. And quite frankly, I don't even practice Christianity. Oh, okay.
No.
The service has done. They'll sell me the fucking whatever they want to sell me. And that's it. The conversation has ended. He is no longer interested in me, or is he interested in me coming back? Right?
Will he still serve you the nuts?
Of course. They'll serve me the nuts. They're making money off of me. But they're not going to sell me a property because they don't want people.
You most likely won't return, though. Is that what you're saying?
Because you don't feel.
No. You know, it's taking, like, is it racism or is it simply being comfortable with your own people? But it's getting, in a village that small, that stuff happens all the time. Like, if I go to a small village in Quebec where they haven't seen a guy with half a dark beard, you know, they're probably not going to treat me like they treat Jean Gaston.
Jean Gaston.
You know?
Jean-Guy.
Jean-Guy Beliveau. You know? They're not going to treat me like that, right? They're going to treat me differently. They're going to be like, this guy's a foreigner.
So
where is he from?
I think you were saying earlier you think all drugs should be legal. So limited government implication. Right?
Limited government interference, yeah.
So when it comes to serving gay people, do you think the government should enforce that?
No.
You think companies should do whatever they want?
I think, relatively.
Okay.
I mean, you can't, there are some things like, I think that you have to determine what's necessary, what's not necessary. I'm sorry, getting ice cream is not necessary. True. It's not, having a phone now is almost necessary. So if you're Rogers, like, come on. I think it would just be bad PR for them if they refuse to serve these people.
Do you think it's right that Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat all eliminated Alex Jones from their platforms?
Who's Alex? Alex Jones, the Google guy?
He's a nutcase. He's a hard.
Is he like a hardcore conservative?
Conservative.
Like if he is sharing hate speech, like Marty, I'm talking about refusing a service versus hate, versus now your hate speech is different.
Yeah. Hate
speech, you're really sending out.
You're just a bad apple.
Yeah, you're just a bad apple.
Alex Jones wasn't promoting hate speech though. He was just.
He had some controversial.
Well, crazy thoughts.
Yeah.
What about that guy Shapiro, man? Shapiro's fucking. He's a nutcase.
Yeah, he's quite nuts.
He's still on all those platforms.
Trump is still there.
That's a good point.
You know?
He's still the president.
Still the president.
Yeah. I think so.
Audience.
I think that everybody has a right to expression, whether we appreciate or not their opinion. That's up to us to kind of digest whatever comes out of their mouth.
Boring.
Excuse me?
Boring.
No, I mean, I wouldn't ban somebody from a platform because whatever's coming out of their mouth, it doesn't really appeal to whatever I'm hearing. But I don't think platforms should have a right to ban someone, because then you're favoring whatever somebody else's opinion towards a certain subject, whereas as an individual, you're allowed to have your opinion. And Donald Trump is the perfect example. If there's one person that's controversial in his opinions, in his way of doing things and being unorthodox in his presidency, it's him. But he's still there. His Twitter following is off the roof. Everybody's following everything that he says. So, at the end of the day, he was talking about drugs and all drugs should be legal. Portugal did that. They legalized all drugs, and they took all the money that they spent on drug enforcement towards rehabilitation and education in regards to drug addiction. Yeah. And the whole country changed. So
beautiful.
It's the government has a certain power in what they're allowed to do. And I think that when it comes to personal expression of their opinions, I don't think the government has its place. Same way Facebook and whatever, I don't know who you guys were talking about, that they took that guy off his platform. I don't think that should have been done. I think that guy has a voice, and let him get the social media backlash that comes with his opinion. Same thing with serving gays. You don't want to serve gays? Great. Somebody's going to complain, and if you're going after a certain community, then they're gonna stand behind that person that's being violated from their rights, and then that's why social media is such an important factor in being able to kind of be diplomatic in your views as a business owner, because of backlash could come at any moment. So I think that's another way that entrepreneurs need to do their business, and You know, your personal opinion is your personal opinion. If you decide to take it to your workplace, remember one thing, it's his business. He's allowed to. If I don't like black people and I decide that I don't want to serve black people, then I'm allowed to take that. I'm allowed to not serve somebody that's black. At the end of the day, am I going to get the backlash that comes with it? Of course I am.
You're hurting your own business.
You're hurting your own business. But there's some people that are so adamant on their own values that they're just going to say, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about the backlash. I don't want your money. You want to hate me because I don't like that? Great, I don't care. I'm the one paying my business license. You know what I mean? I want to just serve Christian Maronites. I don't want to serve Muslims. I don't want to. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we live in a world of diversity, and I think this is what makes our country so great: is that we're able to listen to all these different opinions and have a podcast and talk about it and express ourselves about it.
It also comes with the punishment, right? It's like you were saying, suck it up, and you're gonna.
In order
Look at
to
that vegan guy in Toronto. He had a show. He had a store. He was serving meat, and then there was people in front of him that were blocking entrance to the store because he would cut his meat in front to show how fresh the meat was and all that. And then vegans or whatever it is that are against vegetarians are against. So they were there and they were protesting. Now the police interfered because you're not allowed to block passage to a business. This guy is a taxpayer. This guy is a business owner. If you don't believe in what I'm doing, great. You can peacefully protest, but you can't block the entrance.
So
everything needs to be done in order.
Business is actually booming now.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's not that personal opinion isn't a big thing. It's not like core values. It's what you prefer to eat. But that guy got free press out of it.
We will.
So in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. So thank you for this great conversation.
Yeah.
And
so let's okay. So I guess we're gonna have to let's meet up or something and talk about this. Maybe if you guys are not doing anything this weekend, let's
talk about
the future.
The future
of the podcast.
Yeah.
And
why don't we just meet up an hour early next week?
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do that. Are you okay, you kids?
Yeah, we can do that.
Bon, merci tout le monde. We're gonna log off. I'm just gonna see if there's any comments. Nothing for today.
Imagine somebody saying, "Fuck you guys."
Guys are crazy. He's allowed. Cool. C'est bon.
Holy